Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Big Line presented by QR Zones. In this segment, we will preview an upcoming sporting event, drop some fun tidbits, some background information, and finally give our betting predictions to hopefully win you some money. What are my qualifications, you might ask? Well, if you're a regular listener to the No Instructions Needed podcast, you've been informed of a certain site doing everything in their power to stop me from continuing to take their money. If that isn't enough for you, today we're bringing in an expert to give you the real facts and to better educate yourself. Today, we're going to be talking about the Champions League Final taking place on Saturday, May 29th between Manchester City and Chelsea. And who better to talk about this all-English clash than the footy expert himself, Brendan El Guapo Dunlop. In the famous words of Generation X, Brendan, are you ready?
I'm ready, my man. Thanks for having me on. This is fun. I'm excited for the final. I'm always excited to chat with you, bro.
This is going to be a fun one. I'm a bias when it comes to this matchup. I am a Chelsea fan, so I'm going to try to keep my bias out of this as much as possible. But let's go through what the Champions League looked like in 2020 to 2021. It was like this weird kind of thing. We're coming out of COVID. We're still in COVID. How did we end up, first of all, in Porto, right? We moved where the final was going to be, number one. And two, we have two English clubs in the final. What are we looking at for our Champions League final?
Well, I think you're going to have one set of fans that wear blue that'll be the religious types will be praying a lot more than the others. And that's the darker shade of blue because Chelsea are very much the underdogs in this situation. And yeah, I think they're still pinching themselves. I'm sure Thomas Tuchel's wondering the same thing. How did I get in this situation? I knew that I was good. I knew that I could get to the Champions League final again. I didn't think I'd do it with Frank's team, but he's done it. It's been a pretty remarkable season on both sides. I mean, you look at the dominance that Man City have showed in the Premier League after watching Liverpool truly dominate the Prem the season before. Man City just kind of went back to their old ways, but reinventing it, going back to their old ways by being uncatchable at the top, but reinventing it with outplaying, with a center forward as we're used to, not relying on Sergio Aguero, not even relying on his hired backup in Gabriel Jesus. It's pretty incredible that Pep Guardiola kind of continues to evolve his system. Obviously, he's got such a luxury of options, and both of these teams. This is El Clasico that they call it in England when these two come up against each other. So to have it in a European final, obviously, when the Abu Dhabi group bought Manchester City, this was their main goal, was to win the Champions League. You had to win England first because they hadn't won the league, but they've done that many times now, and for a while they've been waiting for this one. This is the big prize. This is why they went out and got Pep Guardiola in the first place. This is why they continue to spend so much money. And Chelsea spent a lot of money to win the Champions League, which they did in 2012 with a real golden generation. I think everyone will remember the penalty kicks against Bayern Munich and Didier Drogba scoring and wildly celebrating that Chelsea had done it. And Manchester City want to be in that situation on Saturday in Porto. And I think they will be, man. I think Manchester City just cannot be stopped right now. And I think that they're going to be able to put on a show against a team that they know very well. And they won't be able to, Chelsea won't be able to stop them.
Now, you brought up a lot of great points. We'll walk some stuff back just a little bit. Number one, you look at where Man City was come December. Like, they were not a top flight team. They weren't even, I believe, in the top 6 or top 7. Like, they were pretty far down. And then they have an incredible run where by the final month of the season, no one was catching them. It wasn't a matter of if they were going to win, but when they were going to clinch the Premier League. And then you have Chelsea, who, as you said, Frank Lampard is the manager at that time. He gets sacked. They bring in a new manager, and all of a sudden, Chelsea starts to find its stride over a little bit of time, makes it to the FA Cup final in their domestic league. They find themselves now in the Champions League. They almost didn't even make the top 4 in the Premier League. This would have been their potential only shot to make Champions League next year. And then the craziest thing happens. UEFA Super League comes out, or the Euro Super League comes out, and these two teams may not have even had a chance to play in this final if the league was moving forward. That's what some of the talks were. So there were a lot of factors working against Chelsea and Manchester City in this final. But come Saturday, these two will go toe-to-toe yet another time. Chelsea won the most recent matchup. What are your thoughts? Now, you said you've already flirted with the idea that Man City are the favorites. What is it about Man City that gives them the edge over Chelsea in the Champions League final?
Pep Guardiola. Pep Guardiola
Okay.
gives them the edge. I do think that Thomas Tuchel is a real tactician. He's someone that's proven in several of his jobs that he's able to do a lot with little. Although the last couple of times he's certainly had a lot to work with, and he came up short with PSG. I don't think that was all down to him. I do think that Bayern Munich were just a force to be reckoned with, and they no one would have been able to stop them last year in Lisbon, and now to get the chance with Chelsea and Porto, it's got to be just incredible for Thomas Tuchel. He's a confident person. He's someone who definitely has the pedigree. He's got some key players. He's certainly got the best out of players. That was the reason he was brought in. And Frank Lampard, the ownership gave up on Frank Lampard because he wasn't able to do it. They spent a lot of money as soon as they were able to, which is a very Chelsea thing, very on brand for them. And, several factors involved. You really can't offset the coronavirus pandemic affecting these players who are coming to a new country and adjusting to not only the football, but life in a new country. I think that Kai Havertz and Timo Werner had a, considerably poor start because of the circumstances off the pitch. But under Thomas Tuchel, they're starting to find their best. They're starting to find their winning ways. And the reason that they cost so much to begin with. I really like Christian Pulisic. I truly think we haven't got seen the most of him yet. I thought the arrival of Thomas Tuchel would kind of see him at the top of the team sheet again. He still has to battle. He still has to work his way in. He may not start in the final, but he can be such an X factor as we saw in the knockout stages. The American is, truly is one of the best young players in Europe right now, and I think that he's going to thrive on the stage if he gets the opportunity. But I just think that Pep Guardiola, with the side that he has and the depth of options that he has as well, truly don't know what his 11 is going to look like, and that's kind of been the case for most of the season. I think that's kind of the surprise. I mean, they've always had a deep team, they've always had options, but if you just compare their top three players this season who are nominated for Player of the Season, these guys weren't even featured last year. Phil Foden was a guy that was just, starting to crack the squad, let alone be a starting centerpiece. He might be the centerpiece for England, young Phil Foden now, which is unbelievable. Ruben Diaz came in from Benfica. It didn't seem as though, a lot of the English game really knew much about him. I watch Liga NOS a little closer than some other people, and I knew that Ruben Diaz was a mature leader, wise beyond his years, and that's exactly what Manchester City were looking for after Vincent Kompany. I didn't think that they would have found that and seen that solidified so quickly, but Ruben Diaz is just incredible. So I think that Chelsea's really going to have a tough time getting through that defense. It truly doesn't matter who Pep Guardiola goes with at wing back. We've seen Zinchenko take up a lot of time, which I think surprised a lot of people. Ferran Torres with a hat trick the last time out for Man City in their last game of the season, whichever it was. If he's not in the starting 11, I don't think he will be in the starting 11, but talk about a lethal weapon off the bench, which is how I think you'll see them use Sergio Aguero. So if I break it down in 30-minute periods here, I just don't see a half an hour scenario in which Chelsea can dominate and do enough to, make up for the periods that they're going to lose here, those half-hour windows that they're going to be losing to Man City. So I just think that Chelsea's just in tough. It's incredible for them to be here. I think a lot of Chelsea fans, you're probably looking at 2012 and thinking, wow, they got rid of the manager then, and Roberto Di Matteo came in. Thomas Tuchel's got better hair and maybe a better handle of foreign languages, or German at least, and some tactics. But I just think it's going to be too much for them going up against Pep and City.
Yeah, we're definitely looking for lightning to strike twice, and I don't know if that's going to happen. I mean, the last time Chelsea came up against another English club in the Champions League final, it didn't go so well. I mean, they lost to Manchester United in penalty kicks. I mean, this is only the third time that two English clubs have gone up against each other in the Champions League final. You have Liverpool had a clean sheet against Tottenham Hotspur in 2019, and before that, as I just mentioned, the Manchester United beating Chelsea back in 2008. So when again we talk about two teams getting here and the different roads that they had to go on, obviously on very different trajectories, Chelsea is very happy to be here. That being said, if there's a team of destiny, if there's a team that's going to continue to be the thorn in Man City's side, who was looking at trying to win the quadruple this year, it has been Chelsea, two of the stingiest defenses in soccer today. When we start to look at who scores first, Chelsea is I believe 17, 1-1 in all competitions this year when they score first. Manchester City has won 41 of their 45 games in which they score first. So obviously we see the importance of who is going to score first in this game. If Chelsea finds a way to go up 1-0 either at the end of the first half or early in the second half, is that going to be enough to lean the tables towards Chelsea's favor? Or do you think Pep has one more, card up his sleeve that's going to be a surprise for Chelsea, and then we see them score 2-3 goals in the second half?
I mean, scoring first is truly going to swing the momentum. And I think that, Chelsea being the underdogs, being the team with less to really lose here, I think that all the pressure really is on Man City. So they can really amplify that if Chelsea bag a goal first and put themselves in the driver's seat. For how long they'll be able to hold that, I don't know. But I mean, penetrating that back line, if they're able to do it and find a way to find an opening goal, they're going to put Man City on the back foot. And that's kind of the one thorn, I think, and the one kind of weakness that Man City has shown under Pep Guardiola. I'm thinking back to, against Lyon, when his system, which almost seems foolproof, when it doesn't work, he doesn't necessarily adapt quickly on the fly. And that's why City have come up short. They lost in the semifinals a couple of years ago. Reference losing to Lyon, who no one saw possible. Again, freak scenario, not having anyone in the stands, being in the tournament as it was in Lisbon. Now to have a chance at Porto, I just don't see him repeating a lot of those mistakes. But then again, if you're a gambling man and you see those odds that for Chelsea and how successful they've been when scoring first, they definitely have the players to score goals. They definitely have the creative pieces in there. It's just about finding a way to penetrate that Man City back line, which very few teams have been able to do.
All right, so let's get into it. We are going to give some prop bets, and you're going to give your opinion. I'm going to give my opinion. We're going to stack them up. We're going to see who's right. We're going to keep a running tally as the segment continues on for future events. First one up, to score first and win. We talked about the importance of scoring the first goal and the momentum swing that comes along with it. Chelsea at plus 380, Manchester City at plus 106. In your mind, what will happen and what also offers the best value?
I mean, I think the value at 3-1, better than 3-1 for Chelsea, is pretty nice. I'm one who tends to be swooned by the underdog bets, especially when they're as close as they are. I think that, Man City obviously are the favorites. To get plus money on City, to get 6 cents, I believe you said there, is pretty good for backers of the favorites. But I would roll the dice a little bit and say that I think that, Chelsea can score first. This is the wild thing about finals. I mean, really, I think they're both going to play it so tight off the start. And, oftentimes you see the underdog, capture lightning in a bottle or catch a quick counter. And again, not too many underdogs are as lethal and as talented as Chelsea are. So I would take that underdog bet there. Let's sprinkle a little bit on Chelsea and the value.
All right. I like that. All right. So the next prop bet that we're going to look at, 3 of the last 5 Champions League finals have ended with less than 3 goals being scored. So this prop bet is going to be how many goals, total goals for the game. We have under 1.5 at plus 200 or under 2.5 at minus 157. Which one do you like, and which one would you sprinkle some cash on?
So I talked about leaning towards the underdog bet, but I think that this one I would play safe, and I would take the better odds. I would lay the juice there to get minus 2.5 and be protected, because I do think that for as tight as this game could very well end 1-0. An early goal could turn this into a 2-1 affair or 3-2 affair very quickly as well. So I don't think it'll be a 3+ goal affair. So I would lay the juice on minus 2.5.
All right, so here we go. The last one I'm looking at right now, money line for the Champions League Final. Man City, minus 120. Chelsea, plus 360. Where are you leaning on this one?
I'm surprised that actually the line is that kind to Man City backers. That's to lift the trophy? To be honest, I thought you were going to read me the 90 minutes, with the draw when you started with that. To lift the trophy, didn't even realize those were the odds. Man, William Hill trying to split both sides. I'm taking City for sure. Read me that line again.
All right. Yeah, we had Man City minus 120 and Chelsea plus 360.
I'd be on Man City at minus 220. Yeah, minus 120. Let's go.
All
Lay
right.
down, lay down a 120 to win 100 on that because you're cashing in. I truly don't see Chelsea lifting the trophy.
We got the bets. We're going to put them up on the screen right here. We're going to see what Brendan likes. We're going to see what the big O likes over here. We're going to keep the running total. I just want to say, if you had one more thing that you want to look out for, one other little fun tidbit for Saturday's Champions League final, what would it be?
I mean, I love that you've got this all England final that was supposed to be in Istanbul, and the opportunity came up to move it, or the requirement came up to move it, and they thought, you know what? 2 English clubs, we'll move it to Portugal. I love that. So I wonder if there's going to be, some Porto factor, a bit of Porto magic. I know they were hoping to have a full stadium. They'll have some, friends of UEFA in attendance, as we saw in Gdansk for the Europa League final as well. So I hope that, it feels like there's some atmosphere in there for those players. I think it's super classy of the Manchester City owners to fly their fans down, that they paid for the entire trip, the official fan trip, for 6,000 Man City supporters. Woo. Obviously, they can afford to do it, but they didn't have to do that. And right. Maybe they're trying to make up for, we tried to take your club away into the Super League, and hey, we're sorry about that. But their fans can be fickle, and I think it's going to be a pretty awesome experience for those fans who, from the sounds of it, are going to outnumber the Chelsea fans. So that's another thing against Chelsea.
And there you have it, folks. You have now been educated on the 2021 Champions League final. Bet wisely. Comment down below if you decided to sprinkle a little something on the match. For more expert footy analysis, you can catch Brendan and his fellow footy mates on Footy Prime, the podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you for watching and listening, and we'll see you next time. Boom. See